This is John Burke. I'm a visiting lecturer at Resable University, and this is a test lecture because I'm using a new application to record. I'm going to briefly talk about what is Bitcoin mining. So Bitcoin mining is, it seems like a mysterious process, but really it is not. One of the first things you have to understand is you must know about hashing. And the miners use what is called SHA-256 as the hashing encryption method. Hashing is simply a one-way encryption method, and what do I mean by that? You take any input, it can be of any size and of any type of character or text, and it will produce a single fixed length deterministic set of characters. So if the input is the same, it will output the same identical set of characters. So therefore we know that the input is the same. It's often used for passwords, for example. So what do miners do? Well, first of all, they're doing a lot of hashing because we know that inside the block, for example, they are compressing all of the transactions into what's called a Merkle root, and the entire and the entire block is going to be hashed. And what they do in terms of the block per se is they will take designated fields of the block. Each block has certain fields, and they're going to hash these fields. Why? Because they want to try to hash them to produce a target value that is set by the Bitcoin protocol, and they have to either reach that target value or get a fixed length character string that is less than the target value. This is not solving mathematical puzzles as you often might read. It is simply trying to get to a specific target value or a value that is below that target value, and this requires brute force. In other words, trial and error. So they keep entering. All right, they do variations on what's called a nonce, or what we would say is the input factor, and they keep manipulating this input factor, running it through the hash algorithm, and the present hash algorithm that they're using is SHA-256, until they finally get to this target value or a fixed character string below the target value. If they do that, and this of course requires an immense amount of computing power, electricity, therefore money, they will then announce that they have, solved the target value problem. They will broadcast this to the network. So how does the network know that, well, they've done it correctly? Well, the miner can just say, well, enter this particular value, which is the one that I was able to come up with to produce the target value or a deterministic string that was below the target value. And any validating node can take that value, run it through SHA-256 and say, yeah, the guy did it right. It met the target value or something that was below the target value. And then the miner can, the first miner, of course, who is able to achieve this by brute force, can claim the current reward of Bitcoin, which is now, I think, 3.125, something like that. And of course, keep all the transaction fees that were in the block that was successfully added to the chain. Of course, all the validating nodes, they have to accept the block and they have to add it to the chain. And as we know from Satoshi Nakamoto, the longest chain is the valid chain. So this is how it works. I mean, in theory, it's possible that two miners may simultaneously or independently in a very short period of time solve the target value, and then it has to be decided which block will be added to the chain. I'll address that in another short video. But in any event, that is mining. So mining is, all right, putting together the block, meaning taking from the memory pool the transactions that you're going to fit inside the block. You are then going to take those transactions. Those transactions will be verified by their digital signatures, so we know that they are accurate. Then all of those transactions will be compressed to what's called a Merkle root. Then the entire block is going to be hashed, and the miners are basically hashing the different fields of the block, and the protocol itself is setting the new value that is the target, that has to be either reached, or you have to get a value below the target value in order to successfully mine the block and be entitled to the reward. Now, because of the level of difficulty is constantly changing, because Bitcoin wants to make certain that blocks are mined about every 10 minutes, and because of the intensity of the number of miners that are now involved in the process, the difficulty of mining blocks is getting higher and higher. So this means more mining power. So if we went back, let's say 15 years ago, you would need very little computer power, electrical power, let's say, to meet one of these target values and claim the reward. But now it takes an immense amount of CPU power and electricity, and therefore you hear of things as mining farms, which are immense warehouses of special equipment that are only designed to basically run massive amounts of different values in order to produce a hash that has the correct target value or is below that value. The other way you can do it is by joining a mining pool. So if you join a mining pool, and if the mining pool that you are a member of successfully mines the block, then you'll get some sort of fractional piece of whatever the reward was. Now you can basically go online, look for a mining pool that you might be able to join, and you could in theory join it with your laptop or desktop computer, but it's probably not going to be so successful. But you could try it. So anyway, mining is simply this process of hashing, trying to reach a target value by manipulating numbers. It starts with the nonce, but you're always changing this input value in order to get a specific target value or a specific value below the target. Then you can say, yes, I have mined the block successfully. All of the validators then can use whatever input you had that produced the target value or something below it, and they can verify that, yes, this is correct and you're entitled to the reward. I'm going to stop there right now because this is the first time I'm using this new software, and I just want to test it out, and I'll put up another video soon. You have my email, so if you have any questions, please send me an email, and goodbye until next time. I didn't start.